Okay, so originally I did want to do an immediate like reaction to season 7 of Rivals, the initial balance patch change and whatnot, along with, Alex and the lack of characters, to be set, or not characters, changes, overall balance to 6 that kind of happened. And I originally did it within the first few days, and so what, that was like almost 2 weeks ago, and since then, uh, I was like talking to a friend, not necessarily about this, just kind of like while we were playing Rivals. I had like a kind of realization that I want to get into, but before that, we got to talk about season 7 and Alex, and we're gonna start with Alex. So, what do I got to say about Alex? Nothing. I don't want to play him anymore. Numerous things could be said as to why I don't want to play him. That would be somewhat valid, It's also just, yeah, I think I just need time away from Street Fighter, and I don't want to dramatize. Is that the word? Like what I'm like all of it, but for like the first time since like season 1, year 1, whatever, I want to take like a month-long plus break from 6. You know, I just just the game is just the game, and I have lovingly played the game for going on 3.5 years now. So yeah, and also it's just very frustrating seeing the balance patch, because this is the one, if I'm not mistaken, was supposed to be so big. That's why they chunked off those 3 characters as the December update, and then this one. And part of the reason why I don't want to go back is I guess I'm part of the cope that better times are to be debuted with Ingrid, and also I just want to play Ingrid now. I've kind of last like month and a half, whatever. I've kind of just like had the desire to play Ingrid, but yeah, I think that's all I really got to say. And like how I want to do this as a pseudo follow up to that like last video, not the reactions, but um when I said I came to a realization talking to a friend, we talked about like, because I was then at the time like Street Fighter 6 having a bad patch, and then Tekken having somehow an even worse patch if I'm not misunderstanding, and then Rivals follows that up with a bad patch. However, unlike the other two where they're saying pleasantries, trying to like make it feel as though they understand or like conflictions being resolved. Um, they feel very intentional. Like that is they want those changes, and like I think they are very understanding. Whereas with Rivals, I think they are not, I guess, malicious, if you want to say. Like I think they just do stupid stuff because that's just what they do. I don't think it's like a lack of not caring about the community or the player base. They listen very well to those issues, except, you know, call a spade a spade. They treat black characters really weird in that game, okay? Storm feels incomplete. Black Panther's like finally out of like throw character jail. Blade's also out of throw character jail. At least in my opinion. I think those are very much like highlightable now. And like the whole disco thing. What if a black character got a disco skin, Revolutionary take, but that aside. You and like I think the the best way to like contrast why I think or highlight why I think or why I feel that like those balance patches sort of have like malice and like are very intentional, whereas rivals don't is so one of the other benefits, right, of me doing this video later is the fact that Street Fighter 6, director and all that tweeted, and they retconned Alex's backstory. And if you like Alex, it fucking blows because like all of Third Strike and its iterations of in like previous iterations of Street Fighter 3 specifically, get retcon. The phrasing that he uses isn't very it's the phrasing he uses is kind of I don't want to say demeaning, insulting maybe, where it's like, well, there's confusions about, you know, we want to clear up players any confusions caused about Alex's, story with the players, and it's like there's a whole ass picture of Alex's progression with his wife, and said wife is a baby he saddled, whatever, changed their diapers, grew up together, were related, and then got married, and then impregnated her. So like, it's a pretty clear cut storytelling, man. That's on you, big dog. And then so they like changed to make it so that they weren't really that close, and this, that, and the other. Very lame. Whereas Rivals, the day after, dude, the day after, like everyone was like, "Oh, we're so back," and then the bounce patch drops, and then the patch note drop is like everyone's like, "These changes suck ass." What do? Change the Gambit nerf, even though he got a little compensation, or he already got the compensation, so kind of weird, but whatever. It's still a good nerf. In like, but I mean by that's like a good change, not necessarily like how strong the nerf is or like impactful. It's a meaningful change. Emma gets buffs, uh, and then the whole cap animation cancel thing gets a revision. That one I'm that one I think is lame from the removal of skill expression because I play on like controller, and unless like you do specific remappings, that shit's really fucking hard to do on a controller. But nevertheless, that's still lame because like why does he get removed when all the other melee characters don't get like their text removed? So you know it goes to show that they immediately listen. And then White Fox also, like, in the days to come after that, they got a bunch of like buffs, and I just think White Fox is weird. They gave her like a bunch of different ways of self-sustain and self-heal, but tweaked the healing on set on like those abilities. And I think one way would have been cool. She needs the tails. Like leaving ult and spawning with all tails, like it was just stupid she didn't have that. But you could argue it's a little OD, but I still don't really think she's necessarily like, I think she's like capable also. Maybe like a tier above pilotable and is just like well off, compared to like the strong, good meta characters, however you want to like divide them. I think she's kind of fair and well off. Um, Now I kind of hope the ult kind of stays bad, I guess. Trade-offs and such, if you will. Making her kit better, can come at the price of making like her ult necessarily as strong as it could have been when her kit was weaker. But that is so like I want to say like I don't know like the this idea, right, that like I've kind of had since the first few seasons of Rivals, right? I think that's a fair enough time. The idea that like them and Street Fighter 6 and their approaches were so like so identical like ignoring like post content release, like actual like changes to the game and how you play it, right? And here we are, after enough time, a gigantic departure, has been made. Rivals made a they made a universal ult charge nerf, and it's for the better. Whereas Street Fighter 6, I don't. We are the drive gauge. We have the the drive system, whatever. I think all of like the drive things are cool. Why not? I think just like nerfing drive rush, straight up. Like maybe slow down the game a little. I think that's fine. But Street Fighter hasn't done that. Kind of shows signs that it's never gonna do that or will not do that. Whereas Rivals has done it. So they are like already. So they have like branched off, and you know the change was made with like overwhelming success. So in my eyes, I think it just kind of validates change doesn't have to be scary. And if it is scary, it can lead to better, brighter times. You can come out of it better. I know I'm talking about games, but I know I'm saying this as if I'm not talking about games, but it's just the truth. That's how I feel. I think it's kind of how everyone feels, given how people talk about Street Fighter 6 and how people talk about Rivals before this like newest season. So yeah, I just think that's just kind of what I think. And yeah, I yeah, that's all I got, man. Um, I'll see you, or yeah, I'll see you then. Until next time.